Hey, all you rebels out there, welcome back to another episode of Cracked Dice Gaming. I'm Chick Donovan here, back again, yes, with another Han Solo related video. And today is the day where we're going to learn how to defeat Boba Fett. Yes, that's right, how to defeat Boba Fett. It's here. Finally, it's been a long time since I've uploaded a Han Solo related video, but that's because I'm in college and final papers are due soon and finals week is coming up. I'm sure you guys understand the busyness of life, so just thank you for your patience in coming out with this video. Um, After this Boba Fett video, I'm going to make a how to defeat Sabine. We already have a how to defeat Iden video up. Those are kind of the big three heroes that you're kind of going to expect. And then after that, we'll see. Maybe I'll make a video on how to beat Vader or anyone else that you guys want to see, really. So how do we defeat Boba Fett? Well, first, we're going to have to divide the game into three separate phases. Before the flip turn, and after the flip turn. That's especially when you have leaders that are going to deploy essentially on the same turn. That's kind of how you want to divide the game and how you want to approach it. So first, how do we play before the flip? Well, we want to play our events. Things like Waylay and Resupply are going to be really key for us early, and here's why. For two main reasons. A, if we're not playing units, it's going to keep Boba Fett off his ability and stop him from, going off from playing 87 units and just, tempoing you out of the game, right? If you don't play units, he can't kill units, he can't bounce units, he can't do his ability, right? So again, Resupply, Waylay going to be great, and then play Falcon and Bright Hope. Those are space units, they're not ground units, and here's why that's important. Boba Fett's going to be running the Super Laser Technician, and if there's no target for Boba to hit with his Super Laser Technician, he can't ramp and get out earlier. So that's the gist behind the Falcon and Bright Hope. And also, they trade decently into the early game space units for yellow. Things like Cartel Spacer, the Falcon just one taps it, and Bright Hope. Bright Hope's just there to just be there, It's just kind of there. And then it's also you kind of get a jump ahead on the space battle against the eventual Slave One / Fett's Fire Spray. So play events, play Falcon and Bright Hope, and then don't die. Don't die. Don't let Boba get his ability. Don't let him smack you, get a good trade, ready a resource, then play a Greedo or something like that. Just do your best to not let that happen. Things like the Battlefield Marine are decent in the ground unit. That's probably obviously your best early game ground unit, but those can still die to like a shoot first or something, and then you can just get out tempoed. So play your events and then play your space units. And don't let them smack you with a laser tech. Get a good trade and get Boba's ability, because then they're just going to be jamming, right? Limit Boba's ability. Then let's look at the flip turn. It's all about the battalion battle. When you see these green ECL matchups, obviously this is assuming you're playing against Boba ECL. There's also double yellow Boba, which is pretty good. But we're going to be looking mainly at the green Boba. It's all about the battalion battle. You know this. I know this. We've been over this before. So how do you win the battalion battle? Well, you see, I got Spark of Rebellion, an interesting tech card that I've been jamming recently that I started to really like more than some of the other cards that I originally had in the deck. Things like Akbar and Ezra have kind of fallen out of favor for cards like Spark of Rebellion. So this is how you win the battalion battle. Spark of Rebellion, you play that first on your turn 5. Or your flip turn, your resource 5, which will become your resource 6, so you can deploy Han with Han's ability. You get the idea, right? On the flip turn, and you can scout their hand. You see what they have. So if they got a battalion, you can just discard their battalion, because they're probably going to sit on that battalion and wait to one shot your Han with their Boba. And then you can also use Spark of Rebellion to take out like a No Good to Me Dead or an Overwhelming Barrage, both, which will also kill your Han. So that's why Spark of the Rebellion is really good. And then you can just kind of see their play line for the next turn or two or something like that. So Spark of Rebellion in combination with Steadfast Battalion is really good on Han's flip turn, because you'll be able to play them both out, right? You play your Spark of Rebellion, get what's in their hand, and then you deploy Han, attack with Han, and then you can ECL Battalion in and kill their Boba. If you can pull that play off, I think you have a really good chance of winning the game. So the other difficult thing with the battalion battle is, since they both, Boba and Han, technically deploy on the same turn if you have equal ramp, or if you guys don't neither ramp at all, even if Boba doesn't have the initiative, he'll be able to deploy first, because you're going to have to use Han's ability to get up to that resource, which takes an action. Then he can deploy Boba. Your opponent can deploy Boba, and then you can't just deploy Han into a board state with Boba Fett out, right? So that's why Spark Rebellion is really important. If you can ramp ahead of Boba, if you get off a resupply and their laser tech doesn't get to hit anything, then you can deploy Han first, and that's also a really good thing if you can get Han out before Boba. If you can do that, that's also really good. That'll also set you up for success. And then the third thing is, on that flip turn, if they deploy their Boba first, I think you're more than okay to just sort of stall. You're okay with a double pass. In most situations, obviously look at the board state, but in most situations, you're just okay if we pass to the next turn, we each ink a resource, and then we just play from there. I think that's probably a situation that you're more than okay with. Obviously, look at the board state, attack with like your space units or whatever. That's just another thing that you can always remember. You don't have to deploy Han and have him just get wiped out. All right, now let's look at after the flip. Now, what you're going to have to do against Boba Fett is you're going to have to plan for the Slave One or the Fire Sprite. You're just going to have to do it. And this is the thing that I like about Han. I think he's uniquely equipped to deal with the Slave One. I have these 6 cards on the screen here. Waylay, Change of Heart, U-Wing Reinforcement, Leia, the unit Leia, obviously, Bright Hope, and Home One, that are all really good ways to deal with the Slave One. And so, like Waylay, okay, you just Waylay it. Change of Heart, steal it back. U-Wing Reinforcement, go fish out a Bright Hope and a Leia. Bam. Something like that. Home One just one-shots it. You can even pull off the sneak attack play where you sneak attack in Home One and you Fleet Lieutenant Home One into the Slave One or something like that. Like there's just a lot of options with Han. He's very a toolboxy here. I think you're very well equipped to deal with the Slave One. Whereas some decks, it's like, I hope I draw my Vanquish, or I hope I draw the Super Laser Blast, or I hope I draw this, right? This is 17, 18 cards in your deck, depending on if you're playing 3 copies of them, that can either just deal with it, stall it out, or, just get rid of it, right? And the other thing with Bright Hope that I've noticed, the math works to where if they swing into your Bright Hope, they take 2 back. If you have a Fleet Lieutenant, you can then Fleet Lieutenant the Bright Hope back for 4 into the Slave One, and then take it out. And that's there's just a lot of different plays that you're most likely going to have an out as long as you sort of prepare for the Slave One. Secondly, avoid getting blown out, right? This is just a basic. You just have to repeat it because you see it so many times. You see it so many times in games where people will slam a unit and then they'll get waylaid, and then their turn's done and they're behind on resources, and Boba Fett's doing his thing, right? Avoid the blowout. Ask yourself the question every time. We're going to get to the send the scout slides and the cards we need to look at and watch out for with Boba, but ask yourself, if he plays Overwhelming Barrage, am I going to lose the game, right? Ask yourself that question. Just avoid getting blown out. And secondly, just play your top end. You got Home One, Reinforcement Walker, Unit Han, U-Wing Reinforcement, Change of Heart, Sneak Attacks. Like you got a good top end. You got a good closeout. Like it's a decently. I would say that Han Solo's top end in Green Han is better than Boba Fett's top end in Green Boba Fett. At least most stock list Boba Fett's. Like your top end is just simply better, I think. So just play your cards. If you can get to that late game and not have too much damage on your base, I think you're sitting pretty good to win the game. And let's look at the matchup MVPs, right? Spark of Rebellion and Steadfast Battalion. Those 2 cards are how you win the flip turn, right? Which is very important. That's a very pivotal turn to win. So those are obviously our MVPs. And U-Wing Reinforcement is great because you can just go fish out a Sentinel, go fish out a Bright Hope. If you need a ground Sentinel, I currently run the Echo Base Defender, which is the 3-drop Rebel Sentinel. So you can go fish out that Sentinel. So you got a bunch of Sentinel options with U-Wing Reinforcement. Just go get a Han Solo and, delete something, the Unit Han. Also, another interesting note about the Unit Han, if you can just get 1 damage on the Boba Fett somehow, maybe he attacks into something, then the Han Solo unit can effectively deal with Leader Boba Fett. Little side note there. Resupply. Resupply is great. It gets you ahead of the Boba Fett on the ramp race. And Resupply is just a really good card in Han Solo. And then, of course, obviously, then you're not playing units in the early game, not letting Boba Fett do his shenanigans. And then lastly, for our matchup MVPs, we have Bright Hope. Right, it's just great Fett's Fire Spray Slave 1 takes 2 hits to smack it. If they're running the 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 TIE Defender, the TIE Advanced Defender, what's it? Whatever. Thrawn ship that he makes, the the yellow, the yellow villainy Imperial ship, the 3-2 with the shield. Bright Hope can kind of helps out that damage. And let's look at the Send the Scouts. What do we need to see? If it's open deck list, what are we going to go look to see? Well, you kind of, if they're playing Boba Fett, you kind of know they're going to play the Slave 1 Fire Spray, so you don't really need to look at that. It's going to be 3 copies, right? It's not even a super expensive card. What is an expensive card is Darth Vader. Go look. Are they playing Darth Vader? Did they buy the Darth Vaders? Do they have them, right? How many of them are in the main deck? Probably 3 if you had to choose. But just go take a look at that. Maybe they only have 2 because they loaned one to a friend, right? And then Shoot First. Shoot First is a card you really want to watch out for. This card can kind of just ruin your day. It can just essentially just take out one of your units while keeping their unit fully intact. And of course, it triggers Boba Fett's ability, and it can just make a bad day for you. Not every Boba Fett deck runs Shoot First, but a lot of them do. And so, just be wary of it. Of course, moving on, Overwhelming Barrage. Just gotta watch out for it, you know that. And then No Good to Me Dead. Similar to the Shoot First card, not every Boba deck runs it, but if they do, you need to watch out for it. Spark of Rebellion is a great way to counter the No Good to Me Dead on the flip turn and whatnot. You just Spark of Rebellion and take their No Good to Me Dead, right? Or even late game if you fear that going into the next turn they have a No Good to Me Dead that could exhaust your home one or something. You can take the initiative, so you have the initiative, and then play your Spark of Rebellion action one. That's a very good play, especially late game, is to Spark of Rebellion and not only just take No Good to Me Dead, but also take like their top end cards, like maybe they have a Reinforcement Walker or something, and then they're just left with Crafty Smuggler and Greedo to play on like Resource 8 or something like that, right? So these are the cards you need to watch out for. Like every card in the Boba Fett deck, like Boba Unit, even some of the early game plays, you like a Waylay and whatnot, like you're gonna have to watch out for them. Pretty much, I could put like every Boba Fett card on this slide and call it a day. But these are just the cards in particular that we're gonna watch out for. And that's how I think you defeat Boba Fett. I think a lot of what it comes down to is that turn, the flip turn 4 technically, maybe it's 3 or whatever, depending on ramp. A lot of it comes down to how do you deal with that turn? Can you leave that turn feeling good about how you left it? If you can combo Spark of Rebellion with the Steadfast Battalion, I think you're really set up to win the game there. Especially if you can kill Boba Fett on that turn, I think you're really cooking with gas there. And that's all we got for the Boba Fett matchup. If you guys have any other helpful tips that have helped you in the Boba Fett matchup, let us know below. Like I said earlier at the beginning, we'll be coming out with a Sabine video eventually, depending on how fast I can write papers and how well I can do the papers. But we appreciate you tuning in to Cracked Ice Gaming. Go, what do they say? Like, comment, and subscribe, something like that. I don't know. I don't do this. I'm not trying to be a sellout or nothing. No. But no, as always, thank you guys for watching. If you want to check out our other Han Solo videos, if you really like Han, go check them out. I think they're great videos, not just because I help make them, but because I think they're great videos in general. And Han's not super meta, so play something that's not super meta like Boba Fett. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Keep your blaster in your holster and don't be a meta slave.